This is William K. Murtaugh, Witness 1, and today we discuss Day 1, the arrest of Phil McConnell. Now, Phil McConnell made a big mistake. Phil McConnell got associated with Timothy Charles Homseth, and because of that, Phil McConnell is now sitting in the county hoosgow, getting 3 squares and a cot. Now, unlike Timothy Charles Homseth, who did a brief stint in the county lockup, Phil McConnell is 70 years old. He turned 70 almost a week to the day that he got the temporary injunction to stop stalking the lawyer from Florida. And Phil McConnell, of course, was not about to do that. Now, why, you wonder, would Phil McConnell take such a risk? Well, there's a number of factors, actually. First of all, there's this mutual belief with Timothy Charles Homseth that the court system is rigged, that there's this deep state out there, that sovereign citizens are the key to everything, that the lawyers all need to be thrown out on their collective asses, and a new kind of court be put in their place. Homseth and McConnell also had this mutual belief about this international network of pedophiles, child traffickers, and people that take part in satanical ritual abuse, drinking the blood of babies, torturing babies, eating babies alive, all sorts of nasty things that they would discuss on their blogs and in their social media webcasts. So that was the initial factor. And then Phil McConnell learns that Tim's biggest adversary is a female lawyer from Florida who has this injunction against Homseth. And Homseth is facing trial for count number 2 of 4 counts. He's already been convicted of 1 count of the 4 counts, and now he has 3 more to contend with. And then, since Phil McConnell had issues with his sister, who is an intelligent female, and according to Phil McConnell, is on the liberal side of the political spectrum, which is another factor that gets under McConnell's skin. But his sister was a lawyer in a way because she was the executor of their father's estate. And when the father died, and she was the administrator of the estate, things didn't go very well for Phil McConnell, apparently. And so, Phil McConnell had a chip on his shoulder when it came to female attorneys or strong women. So there was a natural bonding here between Homseth and McConnell and others out there who have had issues with the legal system. So, Phil McConnell intensified his attacks on the woman from Florida in spite of the injunction. He violated it. Before long, the permanent injunction was handed down did no good. Phil McConnell, the second he got his hands on the paperwork, violated the injunction. Took him less than an hour. Held it up in front of the camera and says, "Screw you, Miss Piggy." That was his nickname for her now. And the ball started rolling. But Phil McConnell had walked into a trap, because it was expected that he was going to do that he was going to violate the bond. And they were waiting. Screenshots, recorders, and they got him. And from that day forward, it was just a matter of time before they sprung the trap, sent law enforcement up to his little abode, put the bracelets on him, and put him in jail. And it didn't take long. It was a matter of 2 or 3 weeks. It wasn't even a month. And Phil McConnell was in custody. So, now what happens to Phil? Well, the first thing we find out is Phil McConnell is not going to be getting any bail. He's not going to be granted the opportunity to post bail, because he's being extradited to another state. He's considered a flight risk. And generally, the state that's requesting the extradition requests that there be no bail. That they want that person transported to the state of Florida, period. And so Phil McConnell is going to have himself something of a Florida vacation. Going to be a working vacation. But he's going to get free room and board in the state of Florida. And he might, emphasis on might, get a free attorney. Now this is where things get a little complicated. See, under the Miranda rules and all this other stuff, if you can't afford an attorney, the prosecuting entity, the state, county, or what have you, is obligated to provide you with an attorney, a public defender. But the key word is afford. Now, Phil McConnell was a commercial pilot. Phil McConnell has a pension, and the pension cannot be touched by any lawsuit. In other words, the IRS is after Phil McConnell. They can't touch his pension, or at least I don't think they can. The bank foreclosing on his house can't go near it. Any creditors out there can't go near it. So Phil McConnell has a guaranteed income, and it's fairly substantial. It's not the minimum wage, I can guarantee you that. So Phil McConnell has his pension from the airline that he worked for, minus whatever alimony he's paying to his divorced wife, along with any child support. So he's got money coming in. And since he's 70 years old, Phil McConnell should be collecting Social Security, which is in excess of $1,000 a month. It's considering that Phil McConnell's probably at the top income level, he could be looking at pretty close to $1,500 a month. So you add that to your pension, and all of a sudden, Phil McConnell might be able to afford an attorney. Now, he's going to have to fill out both in the state of Wisconsin and in the state of Florida, a financial disclosure form, and he's going to have to list all his assets and all his liabilities. And Phil McConnell might have a problem because he owns an extensive car collection. He owns furniture, farm equipment, owns all kinds of stuff. And so that gets into what we call net worth. Because the court does not take into consideration that you just had your house foreclosed upon, or that the IRS may auction off everything you own to pay the income tax you owe. They base the assessment on the fact that you still have all this stuff. So, Phil McConnell may have to have a yard sale. Or someone's going to have to do it for him, because he sure as hell can't get out of jail to do it. He's going to have to trust somebody to sell all this crap. Power of attorney. And the state of Wisconsin and the state of Florida, they say you don't qualify for a public defender. You make too much money. Because the bar, interesting word, is rather low when it comes to affordability of an attorney. And collectively, Phil McConnell is potentially making about $50,000 a year. And if they take into consideration the amount of money he's making from his social media sites, Phil McConnell may have a little bit of a problem getting a public defender. Well, let's say he gets lucky in that department and he gets a public defender. Now, I respect public defenders. They go into that area of law because they believe in what they're doing. But here's the problem. The vast majority of public defenders are fresh out of law school. They're green. They don't have that working experience yet. And generally, public defenders are going up against seasoned government prosecutors that have been in the court, have done their homework, have had experience with juries, so on and so forth. So the public defender's got a problem. Plus, the public defender usually has a huge caseload. Because as a rule, the public defender's offices are underfunded. So Phil McConnell's got 2 strikes against him now. Strike number 1, makes too much money. Strike number 2, inexperienced attorneys. And it's very difficult, by the way, to plead ineffective counsel when it comes to a public defender. Private attorney, you might be able to have a better case, but not with a public defender. Now here's strike 3. Phil McConnell is about to be transferred to a liberal stronghold. Worst possible place to be put on trial if you're a sovereign citizen, a Trumper, an ultra-right wing pundit, is to wind up in Broward County. And Phil McConnell and Timothy Holmeseth haven't been too kind to Broward County. They've had a lot of things that they have said they don't like about Broward County. And so now, Phil McConnell's going to be right in the middle of the hornet's nest in Broward County. And while The law says that you cannot allow political bias to enter into your decisions. It's going to be kind of hard to do that because of some of the things that Phil McConnell has said about our legal system and about what he wants to do to lawyers. You know, this stuff has a habit of seeping into the minds of people, and while they're instructed that they're to set all this aside, human nature is what it is. And so in the subconscious, this is all going to be there on all sides. The defenders, the prosecutors, the jury, the judge, everyone. That's going to be in the back of their mind. And then when we get to jury selection, oh, this ought to be a treat. Because if you get women on a jury, in any numbers, Phil McConnell's going to be in serious trouble. Because this has to do with actions he took against a mother of 3 children, who is a professional. And some of the things that he has said, some of the things that he said he was going to do to this woman is going to come out. And these women are going to be mad. Because we're in the middle of this Me Too movement. We're in the middle of all this stuff being done to women at government levels. And we're in a liberal court district. Things don't look too good for Phil McConnell. Phil should either plead guilty and not put up with all this, just take the inevitable punishment, do his time, and hope that they give him a reduced sentence for pleading guilty. Or he does a plea bargain to try and get the charges reduced. Something to mitigate the damage. Because by the looks of things, if Phil McConnell tries to fight all this, he's in deep doo-doo. And one final point to make about all this is time. Now, getting the process started on extradition is going to take time, no matter what Phil McConnell decides to do. As I said in the beginning, he's got to be arraigned. He's got to decide whether or not he's going to fight extradition. He's got to decide whether or not he wants a public defender. He's got to file all this paperwork. If it turns out he does not qualify for a public defender in the state of Wisconsin, he's got to figure out how he's going to pay for a lawyer. So he's got that staring him in the face. He's going to have to get a criminal defense attorney. Criminal defense attorney's going to want a retainer. They're going to want some kind of guarantee that they're going to get paid. And we're talking a lot of money, especially if Phil McConnell decides he wants to fight it. I certainly would think that Phil McConnell's not going to be stupid enough to go pro se, be his own attorney, because that would seal his fate almost right off the bat. But then he has to wait to see when he's going to be able to go before the court and go down whatever path he's going to go down. He's either going to say, okay, send me to Florida, I'll wage my fight down there, or I'm going to fight this. He's got to stay in jail day by day, hour by hour, until his initial court date comes up. So then we start the process of extradition. He argues with the state of Wisconsin why he shouldn't go to Florida. Maybe Kurt Pendergrass will get involved. That would be fun. Although I doubt that Wisconsin's going to want anything to do with Kurt Pendergrass grandstanding in court. Maybe they can pick it outside the front door or something. But, so we go through the process of extradition. Looking at a year, more than likely, before he even leaves the state of Wisconsin. Maybe he gets to leave the state of Wisconsin about the time all the snowbirds leave. Because it gets cold up in Wisconsin at this time of the year. It starts, you have the snow, all that. So down to Florida he comes. And he's going to love it down here. Because wait till he finds out the average age of the people in county lockup in Broward County. Vast majority of the inmates down in Florida are about half his age. Some really strange ones too, so he's going to have some interesting company down here. And this is a guy that's he's associated with these ultra-right groups that are labeled white supremacist. And he's going to be down here with people that are in the minorities. A lot of these people don't even speak English. Oh, he's going to have a lovely time in county lockup down in Broward County. But then he has to go through this whole process all over again. He has to request either a private attorney or a public defender. He's got to issue the same financial statements. And by the time he goes to Florida, he may well qualify for a public defender because he's going to be flat broke by that time. His house will be gone. All his property is going to be auctioned off. If he's lucky, he's got Social Security and his pension. So, he's got that, maybe. Because at the time that I'm making the audio portion of this webcast, I don't know if you are allowed to receive Social Security while you're in prison awaiting trial. By the time I go on the air with this, I will have the answer, and it will be in above. So, he's now in Florida, filing all this paperwork to go and face the judge here in Florida. Now, he's probably going to go for a jury trial. He's not going to go for a bench trial. That'd be a foolish thing to do. So he's going to go for a jury trial, and we're going to have jury selection. Jury selection is really not that big of a deal. Not in this particular case. I don't know how much preparation the defense attorney's going to take in deciding how to qualify or disqualify a juror. So this will be an interesting thing to find out about. Then the trial date is set. There's usually pre-trial hearings to do some house cleaning, figure out what evidence is going to be presented, witness statements, witnesses, so on and so forth. And that trial date is set, and he goes to trial. By the time this happens, Phil McConnell probably will have been in prison for 2 years. Year and a half minimum. So he's already served a year and a half in prison for making threats against this woman in Florida. And so now he's got to go to trial. And the charges that he has lodged against him are serious. And there's a pretty fair amount of time attached to him. And so, depending on the attitude of the judge, the evidence presented, how everybody acts in court, if the jury renders a verdict of guilty on all 3 counts, Phil McConnell is in serious trouble at that point. Even more serious than he was at the start of all this, because now he'll be transferred to state prison. Because these are state charges he's being brought up against. Up until this time, it's more than likely he will have been in a county jail. But once a conviction is made, assuming that he's found guilty of all 3 charges, and depending on what the victim decides as far as a statement or what she feels would be appropriate, Phil McConnell is going to go to jail for quite a long time. 3 to 5 years, more than likely. Could even be longer. But I'm hazarding a guess it's going to be 3 to 5 years in prison. Whether or not he's granted time served and he gets 1.5 years shaved off that, it's hard to say. Well, we're looking at a guy that'll be 72 years old by the time he serves his sentence. He'll at least be 71. He possibly could be pretty close to 72 years old by the time he goes to jail. That means the earliest this guy's going to get out of jail is 74 or 75 years old. And there's a lot of diseases that goes around in prison. And prison's not an easy place for anybody to be in, especially a guy that old. So he's going to have a rough time. You almost feel sorry for the guy. But in the end, you can't, because he made his own mistakes. He's the one that decided that he wanted to be best buddies with Timothy Charles Homestead. And it's almost a given that while Phil McConnell is going through all this in the state of Wisconsin and in the state of Florida, and he's going to watch from a distance as everything he worked for the 70 years he spent on this planet evaporates. His house will be gone, his car collection will be gone, all his furniture's gone, his computers, everything gone. Somebody else will be the king of the hill. Phil McConnell will be forgotten. Nobody will talk about Phil McConnell, except a few of us. Because guess what? I live in the state of Florida. I live 3 hours from Fort Lauderdale, where the trial will be held. And I am in the process of contacting the court where Phil McConnell is going to be tried and notifying them that I will be covering the trial. And I need media access to the court. And I'll be down there, camera in hand, live streaming to my YouTube channel, to Twitter, and to Facebook, the trial of Phil McConnell. So stay tuned. Until then, this is William K. Murtaugh, Witness 1. Have a good one.